Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas occupies a unique place in the minds of the American left. Any fair-minded person can acknowledge that, which makes today's headline about the justice not that surprising, and then the response even less surprising. Clarence Thomas and the billionaire, writes ProPublica. For over 20 years, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas has been treated to luxury vacations by billionaire Republican donor Harlan Crow. And the article goes on to talk about Crow hosting Thomas and his wife on his yacht at his private retreat in the Adirondack Mountains and aboard his $50+ million Global Express jet. Thomas must be impeached, tweeted Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, which is particularly rich, considering she has had her own ethics problems for taking a free ticket to the Met Ball Gala, the same place where she wore that tax the rich dress. Ian Samuels here, former Supreme Court clerk for Justice Anton Scalia, which makes you sound like a firebrand conservative, which you are not, because Scalia used to have, Justice Scalia, pardon me, had one clerk from the other side because he thought he made everybody smarter. You were that person. But you get a unique view of the court. What is the obsession with Clarence Thomas?
Well, Justice Thomas belongs to an intellectual tradition that in America we don't see very much anymore, which is he is essentially a part of what we might call a kind of conservative black nationalist. He comes out of a conservative tradition of distinctively black conservative thought in America that has a rich and interesting tradition, but that for kind of contingent reasons we don't see a lot of other examples of today. The other thing about him is that he is absolutely, and has been ever since his confirmation all the way back in the early 1990s, completely unafraid of making people mad. He is completely committed to a rather, what you might call maximum strength view of textualism and originalism, his judicial philosophy, and he himself is utterly uncompromising, right? He is the maximum strength version of everything that he is, and he absolutely does not care if people don't like it. He doesn't care at all.
That's clear. Well,
in part because of the circumstances of his confirmation, right? Remember, it was 52-48, and it was really bruising on his family. And I think that was the end of his interest in what polite DC society thought of him very much.
Well, the flip side of that might be that he sort of is unbuyable, because if your principles and your standards and your views are that strong, you're unbuyable and you're unpersuadable and you are unlobbyable. So it may make sort of the point of this story that somehow he was influenced a little bit moot. But a lightning rod for the Democratic Party, obviously his conservative policies, they're now going after him on ethics. They went after him, obviously, after his heart attack. The people said some really awful things about him after that. And then they went after his wife, Ginny Thomas, over the 2020 election. I guess the question would be, you've got 6 conservative seats. You got another 2 years of Joe Biden. They've got enough seats in the Senate to be able to push a confirmation through. So why do they view Clarence Thomas as the easiest one to pick off? Why isn't it going after Neil Gorsuch or Brett Kavanaugh or the Chief Justice?
Oh, I don't think there's any realistic expectation that Justice Thomas would actually be impeached and removed. I mean, that's unthinkable. I mean, we saw how high the barrier to remove an official through impeachment is with President Trump twice. There's no chance he'll actually be impeached and removed. But he's an exciting topic. He's a lightning rod. Even people on the left who don't know that much about the Supreme Court, they know they don't like Justice Thomas, right? And so if you can sort of demonstrate that he's got a rich friend who thinks of him, and by the way, the right way to think of this is that rich guy who's taking Thomas and his wife on, family vacations and stuff, Thomas is like a celebrity to that guy, right? It's the equivalent of like you or me asking Taylor Swift to come on vacation with us. It's not so we can influence Justice Thomas.
Respectfully, Ian, speak for yourself, okay? Now, if Phil Mickelson wants to play a round of golf, that's a different story. But you think about this, and look, there's a lot of rich people, very rich people, who love to hobnob with celebrity politicians, okay? I think about President Biden, spent Thanksgiving at David Rubenstein's, the billionaire philanthropist, co-founder of Carlyle Group. And
look at Obama's birthday party. Remember that?
Right. There's that. There's, look, the Obama's former president are often on George Clooney's yacht and on his jet, on and on and on. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.